Let's make sure that the feet are about hip-width distance today. So just a little wider than normal. Take a moment to spread all of your toes, elevate your toes, and then root your toes from your pinky toe all the way to your big toe. And then roll to the inside of the foot a little bit, and then roll to the outside of the foot. And just notice the rootedness of your feet. Take a moment to slightly shift your quads forward, but then decreasing the curvature through your low back. And as you're breathing, think about toning the belly and elevating the diaphragm, starting to stimulate the lungs. And you can let your arms rest to the sides, relaxing the shoulders away from the ears. Think about breathing all the way up into the lungs. And exhale, pushing all the way down. So you start to feel that opportunity to stimulate the back of your throat. Stay with the sound and the movement of that breath. And then begin to reach forward, and as you reach forward, reach up. Let your palms face forward as opposed to towards each other. And feeling from the very center of the armpit, right, stretching upward. And extending from the armpit up the inner lining of the arm, so that would actually be the pinky side of the arm. All the way up to the inside of the pinky. So think about the center of the armpit, reaching and extending all the way up the inner lining of the arm, the pinky side. Resting your awareness on the inside of the pinky. So you'll notice as you're reaching, you're going to visualize crossing the wrist. Breathing and reaching. Just a few more breaths, keeping the lungs high in the chest. And then exhale, release your arms heavy, release your shoulders heavy. Slow your breath down. Notice the back of your lungs. And then microbend your knees and make your way to a very gentle but heavy forward fold. So a very gentle but heavy forward fold allows the curvature of the spine. Still breathing in and out through the nose. If you're able to rest your fingers on the ground or your palms, let your palms face up. So following that line of energy from the base of the spine, the roundedness of the spine, all the way up the spine, traveling across the back of the neck,
very top of the head, the crown of the head. Heavy arms, heavy shoulders, heaviness through the skull. And press into your feet. Think about vertebrae by vertebrae, rolling up to standing. And once you roll up to standing, again, reach from the interior of the armpit and the shoulder joint, upward towards the sky with your hands. Shine your palms forward. And then press your palms back and interlace your fingers. And as you interlace your fingers, open up your shoulders. As you draw the pectoral muscles forward and the chest cavity forward, tone your belly, draw your quads forward, and let that focus be the tops of the shoulders and the pectoralis, left side and the right side. So both arms stretching as you feel that broadening across the front of the collarbones. And then use your breath to stimulate your lungs and stretch the deeper layers of tissue. And while you're breathing, notice the interior of the left side of your ribcage. Notice the interlacing of your fingers. Notice which thumb is on top. Relax yourself back to center. Uncross, and then recross the fingers the opposite way. Once again, open up your shoulders. Shift your quads forward. Tone your belly. A gentle tuck of your chin. Breathing deeply into the chest, breathing deeply into the lungs. And then relax your shoulders and soften your knees. Make your way back to a heavy forward fold. Again, let your palms face up if possible. Crown of the head is reaching towards the earth. Noticing the curvature of the spine. Noticing the back of your lungs. And then we're going to take a nice big breath, rolling along the spine, reaching up towards the sky, stretching the hands as high as you can. Again, focus from the very center of the armpit, traveling up the pinky side, but then ending on the inside of the pinky. Just breathing, focus on that space. So tug on your shoulders and try and engage the muscles of the arms as you reach. Only breathing in and out through the nose. Notice any fatigue in the shoulders. Any sensation behind your lungs or behind your heart. Should feel some heat building in your body. Try for 3 more breaths. Stretching even higher, stretching more. Notice the most prominent sensation.
is tension, fatigue, or sensitivity coming from? And as you exhale, this time you're going to travel those hands back into the sky. And then swiftly bring them forward and up. And then exhale, traveling back, reach to the sky. Inhale, forward and up. Good, let's do that 2 more times. Exhale, traveling back. Inhale, big breath up. 1 more time, exhale back. This time as you inhale up, let your palms face each other. Bring your palms together, interlace all your fingers. Stretch your shoulders, but draw your knuckles back behind your head. And as you bend your knees and exhale, place the interlaced fingers on the ground, round your spine, hollow out your belly. As you're pushing into the earth, tuck your head. Notice the tops of the shoulders stretching. As you draw your navel in and up, notice the spine stretching. Shift the weight towards the front of your feet and continue to press firmly into your palms. So you want to feel that stretch through the inside of the elbow. Notice the interior of the armpit. Notice the lungs. The back of the lungs. Try to stretch the back of your lungs. Stretch the space between your scapula. And especially the interior wall of your ribcage, left side. Just a few more breaths. Last breath. And then interlace fingers, reach forward and up. Press your palms all the way out and down. Join your palms, reach up. Exhale, forward fold. This time, place your palms down. Take a little halfway gaze. And then step back for downward facing dog. As you press your palms, extend your hands forward. And begin to move your head forward and back a few times. Try and move the mid-back, your thoracic spine. And keep your shoulder plates steady and strong. So again, let this movement come from the head and neck. And then drop down to the knees, and we'll take half downward facing dog. So as you drop down to the knees, notice your hips are floating over your knees. Walk your hands forward, keep your shoulders broad, and then start to travel towards the earth, keeping the crown of the head extending forward. You might release your toes. If you want to move your hips a little bit from side to side and massage the space behind your lungs, you can. Working the middle of your back, your thoracic spine. And then walk your hands back underneath your shoulders and do just a few rounds of cat-cow. And from tabletop, wrist underneath your shoulders, tuck your toes and take a shorter downward facing dog. Try and reach your heels back. You can continue to extend through the arms. Let your head rest between your shoulders and think of the very top of your head extending forward towards the front of the mat. So we want length to the spine. Slightly draw your quads forward while you're doing that, and then tone your belly. So really flat along the spine. And then reach again to the interior of the armpit and really stretch your arms. Stretch your shoulders. Wonderful. Let's drop down to the knees. We're going to do thread the needle pose. Left arm is out to the side. And as you carry that hand through underneath the right, drop down to the side of the left shoulder. Use your right palm to support you here. If you're comfortable, you can stretch back with your right leg. Regardless, notice the outside of the left shoulder. And then breathe really deeply, stimulating the left lung, stimulating the heart muscle. And if your right leg is lifted, bring it back. Press into the right hand and unwind your pose. Let's do a few rounds of cat-cow. And then when you're ready, we'll thread our right arm through, coming to the outside of the right shoulder. As you move to the outside of the right shoulder, maybe elevating your left leg, maybe. Focus on staying rooted through the outer edge of the shoulder. Breathing into the back body, especially the space between your shoulder blades. Doing your best. Maybe 3 more breaths. And if your left leg is lifted, bring it back. Press into the left hand. Unwind your spine. Doing just a few rounds of cat-cow again. And then press yourself back for child's pose. As you press back for child's pose, extend your arms as far forward as you can. We're going to move right away to our upward facing dog. And we're going to stay here. Keep your knees down. A little micro bend in your elbows. Stretch your belly. Draw your heart and sternum forward. Press your shoulders away from your ears as you press firmly into all of your fingers and all 4 corners of your palm. So notice the knuckle bed. Notice the space behind your pointer finger. Rooting through the inside of the thumb. Maybe 1 more breath. From here, tuck your toes, elevate your hips up and back. Extend your arms as much as you can. And then elevate your heels. Drop your heels over to the left side and notice that stretch along the left side body as you rotate your hips. But don't forget about your right hand. You have to use both hands here. So feel that twist through the sacrum,
through the side body. And then elevate your heels and drop your heels over to the right side. Same thing. Notice the stretch of the QL, your quadris lumborum, low back, the interior of your left hip, across the sacrum, fully stretching that left side body. And then heels back to the sky. We'll drop down to the knees. Press back for child's pose right away. Roll yourself upward facing dog. Lower to the earth. Glue your toes to the earth. Press your shoulders away from your ears. Reach your hands back. Let your palms face up. Keep your chest lifted. Looking forward, breathing forward. And then place your palms up, but on the small of your back. Continue to lift your elbows. Press your shoulders away from your ears. Press down through the tops of the feet. Try and stay for 4 more breaths. Feel the ebb and flow of the breath. The rise and the softening of the belly. And then take your hands out to the sides. We're going to take the right arm over to the left side. Cross your left arm in front of your right. Press your forearms into the earth. And then relax your head towards your elbows. Just breathing there. Gazing over to the left side, take your left arm straight out from your left shoulder and place it hand facing down on the mat. Once you do that, you're going to come down to your belly, look over to the right side, press your right palm into the earth, elevate your right leg, bend your knee, take it back behind you, try and rest your head. So your right knee is facing the sky, your left palm is pressing firmly into the earth. Should feel that stretch across your pectoral muscle. You might decide to extend your right leg to the sky and point your toe. Make sure you keep your left arm active. Feel the inside of the left shoulder, the inside of the left shoulder blade. If you're lifting that right leg high to the sky, you're going to feel that compression in the back of your left shoulder blade. Don't worry about the lift of the leg. If it's possible, lift it. If not, just breathe where you are. Maybe 2 more breaths. And then carefully, you can bend the right knee, roll back to your belly if it was lifted. Regardless, roll back to your belly. Press your hands into the earth. Make your way to upward facing dog. Tuck your toes, stretch up and back, and compare the left side of the body to the right. All right, let's see if we can do the other side. As you drop down to the knees, you can lower to your belly. We're taking the right arm straight out from the shoulder. Palm is facing down. Gazing over to the left, support with your left palm. As you lower to the earth, elevate your left knee, relax your head. You can rest your foot on the mat. If comfortable, using the inside of that right shoulder, lift your left leg to the sky. Most important is that you're breathing. Your best effort, your breath. Right hand stays active. Stretching the right shoulder blade. Stretching the front of the right shoulder. Breathing steadily. Know your limits. Use the appropriate effort. Notice the strongest sensation. Three more breaths. As you exhale, bend your knee. Roll back to your belly if your leg was lifted. Roll back to your belly if your leg was down. Press your palms into the earth. Press up and back for child's pose. From child's pose, roll to upward facing dog. Tuck your toes and stretch up and back for downward facing dog. Notice the arms. Notice the side body. Let's come back to the rotation of the sacrum. Elevate your heels. Drop your heels over to the left side. Feel that stretch along the right. Maybe sink your hips a little deeper this time. And then using the ball of the foot, rise back up, heels drop over to the right side. Again, maybe drop your hips a little deeper. Heels elevate. Let's step forward with the right foot. Make your way to high lunge. Arms reach up. Interlace your fingers. Stretching the side body. Draw your knuckles back behind you. Interlace your fingers behind your head, opening up the heart. Give yourself a little bit of a back bend. So elevate your gaze, but draw out of the low back. Start to move higher to the thoracic, to the mid-back. Massaging behind your heart, use your breath. Massaging behind your lungs, use your breath. Open up that space. And then coming back, release your hands to the earth. Step back for plank pose. Straight to downward facing dog. Drop down to the knees. Upward facing dog, lower to the earth. Upward facing dog to downward facing dog. Step forward with your left foot. Reaching upward, interlace those fingers, high lunge. Start to lift your gaze, giving yourself a little bit of a back bend. Change the crossing of the hands. Opposite thumb on top. Open up your heart. Opening up your elbows, but supporting your head, supporting your neck. Breathe deeply behind your lungs. Stimulate your respiratory process. Deeper breaths. And this time we're going to gaze forward. Drop down to the right knee. Bring your right hand to the earth. Take your left hand to the sky. Low lunge twist. And then as you bring your left hand to the inside, elevate your toes, turn your toes to the left corner of the mat, drop down to your forearms, and breathe. Great time to move your head forward and back, massaging those shoulder plates again. Think about a little bit of rounding of the spine, and then that elongation.
All right, and then coming back to your palms here. Elevate your toes, turn your toes back in. We're gonna elevate the right knee, open up for warrior two. So drop that right heel, rise up, reach your hands out. Turning your left palm up, let's reach over to the right side. Gazing down the right leg, stretching that left side body. Lunge a little bit more into the left knee. And then this time as you come back to center, rotate to high lunge. So we're pivoting on the ball of the right foot. As your hands reach up, exhale, drop down to the right knee. Take your hands to the inside of the foot. Leave your foot parallel this time. Start to drop straight down. So don't shift forward and then lower. Just drop down right there. So we're on the inside of the left foot. Crown of the head is reaching towards the earth. So essentially your left shoulder and left knee are in line with each other. Your hips would also be in line with each other. Rooting firmly through all four corners of your left foot. Relax your jaw, relax your neck. And then coming back to your palms, we're gonna make our way back to warrior two. So you're gonna elevate your right knee, drop that right heel down, reach your arms straight out from your shoulders. We're taking a bind this time. Left shoulder is gonna bow to the inside of the left knee. You're gonna reach straight back with your left hand. Once you reach straight back, maybe take that hand to the small of your back. Right arm reaches around. If you clasp your hands, swing your pelvis forward, looking off the right corner of your mat. Just breathing there. Massaging into the left quad and left glute. And then if you're binding, you're gonna release your hands. Once those hands come to the inside, pivot on the ball of the right foot, step forward for Malasana, wide legs. Reach your hands forward. Make your way to Garland Malasana, squat pose. Press your palms together, broadening between your shoulder blades. Interlace your fingers, notice your back. Press into your feet. Rise up to standing. Exhale, press your palms out, make your way to forward fold. Halfway gaze, Ardha Uttanasana. Step back with your left foot, make your way to low lunge. Inhale, arms reach up. Exhale, hands out. Rise to high lunge. Making your way to warrior two, Virabhadrasana 2. Left hand is down, right palm rotates up and back. Look down the left leg. Extending forward in the right foot, drawing forward to the right knee, opening up the left hip. Stretching from the interior of the left leg. Stretch your groin muscles. Breathing. And then pivot back to high lunge. Drop down to the left knee. Hands come to the inside. Elevate your toes, turn your toes out to the right side. Shifting forward, come down to your forearms. Breathing there. Maybe head is moving forward and back. Use your breath. And then slowly come back to your palms. Elevate your toes, turn your toes back in line with the side of the mat. Rooting into your left palm, elevate your left knee, right arm reaches to the sky. And then drop down to the left knee again. Continue to rotate your belly upward, looking upward. And as the right hand comes down, reach forward and up. You're gonna bring your hands in front of heart, elevate for high lunge, arms reach up. Bring yourself back to warrior two, Virabhadrasana 2. Bowing to the inside of the right knee. Take your right arm, reach it back. See if you can bring your palm to the small of your back. Maybe interlace your fingers or clasp your wrist. As you lunge and shift forward, look towards the left corner of your mat. Engage and squeeze into the right hip. Massaging the glute muscles, massaging the quad. And then carefully release your hands. Back to warrior two. Pivot back to the ball of the foot. Drop down the left knee. Bring your hands to the earth. Make sure your left foot is parallel to the mat. Dropping right there, lower towards the earth. Right there. Without shifting forward, just lower towards the earth. See what's available. Again, notice the strongest sensation. Focus on that space. Emphasize the breath. Looking forward, come back to your palms. Step forward with your left foot. Clasp your elbows and sway from side to side, heavy in your spine. Start to exhale through your mouth, releasing from your mid-back to the crown of the head. So as heavy as you can be. And then interlace your fingers behind your skull. Squeeze your elbows in towards each other. Still exhaling through the mouth, bringing length to the cervical spine. Pressing into your feet, rising up to standing. Open your eyes wide. Interlace fingers, reach to the sky. We'll take another vinyasa. As your hands come down, heel, toe your feet back together. Take a halfway gaze, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, forward fold, flattening and lengthening your spine. Inhale, look out. Step back for downward facing dog. From downward facing dog, shift forward to Balasana, child's pose. Extending the arms, compressing in your hips. Round your spine to upward facing dog. Delivering yourself to the earth. Tuck your toes, rise for plank. Up and back for downward facing dog. Let's stay here for 6 full breaths. Push the palms forward. Tone your belly, stretch your spine. And then when you're ready, you're just going to hop to the front of your mat. Have a seat. Let's make our way to a full body stretch. Arms reaching, legs reaching. Notice the curvature of your spine, and then as you exhale, root into the earth. And then pull your knees in towards your belly. Make sure that you're fully rooted on your sacrum, the small of your back. Squeeze your knees in. Flex your toes towards your shins. Reaching to the interior of your hips. Try to engage the small ligaments and tendons there. So in essence, hugging in as much as you can from the deepest space. And then draw the navel all the way towards the base of the spine. And stay with that. Now keep your knees traveling towards your belly. Elevate your head. Keep your toes flexed. Keep squeezing in as much as you can through the muscles of your legs. Interlace your fingers behind your head. Squeeze your elbows towards your knees. Keep your sacrum on the ground. And then elevate your low back. Elevate your sits bones. Elevate your sacrum. Squeezing into a tighter ball. Stay for 3 more breaths. Breathing high into the rib cage. Release your head back to the earth. Take your arms straight out from your shoulders. Keep your knees in, nice and tight, still squeezing. And then take your knees over to the right side. Readjust your shoulders if needed. Keep your gaze towards the sky. Your knees are in line with your ankles. Notice your left shoulder blade. If you would like to take your gaze towards your left side to help supporting the rootedness of that left shoulder blade, you can. As you're rotating your spine, try your best to stack your hips and then squeeze your knees together too. And then notice the low back. See if you can bring the breath all the way down to the bottom of the belly and really stimulate the diaphragm. Maybe reaching to the posterior, the back side of the body, the low back, the kidneys. And then roll to your back and massage a little bit from side to side. And when you're ready, take your knees over to your left side. Try and stack your knees, ankles in line with your knees, knees straight out from your hips. Gazing towards the sky, maybe towards the right shoulder, trying to root the right shoulder blade. Notice the rotation of your pelvis. And then breathe all the way down into the bottom of your belly. Try and move to the low back. Maybe one more breath. And then roll to your back and move a little bit from side to side. All right. Draw your head towards your knees, pull your knees in towards your belly, roll yourself up to seated, and find your strap. And once you find your strap, we're gonna just come to a cross-legged position. Great. And we're gonna take the strap wide so you have lots of space. And we're gonna reach up towards the sky. And then try and take your strap back. Beautiful. Use both arms. Same stretch. Keep your arms nice and straight. Exhale to the front. Inhale to the sky. Exhale back. And just follow your breath. Using both shoulders with the same intensity. Lifting from your scapula as you reach to the sky. Use your breath. Good, just a few more times. One more. And up. One more is a complete cycle, up and back and up and forward. All right, we're gonna go ahead and place that strap off to the side, and you're gonna step your feet to the earth. You're gonna walk your heels slightly closer to you, not all the way close, but just slightly closer. Big toes are gonna turn a little bit inward. Keep the uprightness of your spine. Let's take 4 breaths here. All right, you're gonna reach back with your hands. You're gonna place your fingertips. You're gonna rest the weight into your palms. Press into all 4 corners of your feet and rise to tabletop. Head could be forward or head could be back. Lift from your shoulder blades. Press into all 4 corners of your feet. Press through the inside of the palm, pointer finger and thumb. Breathe. Elevate your glutes. Tone the muscles of your legs. Two more breaths. Tone the muscles of your legs. And then exhale, tuck your chin if it's back. Relax yourself to the earth. We're gonna take the bottom of our feet, cross your ankles, and make your way to forward fold, resting on your forearms. If comfortable, making your way to your forehead. And then rising up, we're going to roll to our back. And once you roll to your back, you're going to try and take your hands to the inside of your foot. You're going to lift your head to do this. And then you're going to elevate your heels. Take your heels wide. Root down into your low back and sacrum. Pull your knees towards the earth. Low back, rooting to the earth. Ankles wide. Knees moving down. Try for 4 more breaths. Squeezing into the muscles of the legs, drawing the knees towards the side body. Separate your ankles. 3 more breaths. Release your hands. Bring your knees back. Set your feet down. Take your hands straight out from your shoulders. Rest your feet. Just breathing in and out. Let your palms face up. And then carefully move the knees from side to side. Try and root and stabilize your shoulders. And then carefully walk the bottom of your feet together, letting the knees rest outward to the sides for Supta Baddha Konasana, reclined butterfly pose. Relaxing from the third eye to the top of the head. Feeling and sensing relaxation down the back of the skull. Releasing the back of the neck. Across your shoulders. Releasing along the spine. Feeling the opening and the heaviness of your hips. Right leg is heavy. Left leg is heavy. Relax your belly. Notice the physical heart muscle. And energetically, visualize a line of energy traveling up through the left collarbone, moving to the interior of the armpit, down the inside of the left hand, so pinky side.
traveling all the way to the inside of the pinky, so the side closest to your ring finger. Rest your awareness and attention on the inside of that pinky. Visualize energy moving from the inside of the pinky to the inside of the wrist. The inside of the wrist, traveling up the inner arm to the left armpit, across the collarbone, and to the heart muscle. From the interior of the rib cage, a line of energy traveling from the left cavity to the right shoulder, the interior of the right armpit, the inner lining of the right arm, all the way down to the inside of your right pinky. Rest your awareness, focus and attention on the inside of your right pinky. Just notice pulsation of energy there. Keeping the awareness connected. Move from your pinky to the inside of your right wrist. Traveling up the inside of the arm to the interior of the right armpit. From the armpit across the clavicle, back to the heart muscle. And then release fully. Welcome a greater heaviness through the body. Know that you are an open, compassionate, loving being. And the quality of wakefulness and alertness and clarity is yours. You are not clouded by judgment. The loving, compassionate nature of your being guides you. Let's take a nice deep breath. Carefully separate your toes. Bring your knees back. Rock from side to side. If you would like to elevate your knees and rock from side to side, you can. Twisting your spine more fully. And then rolling to the right side when you're ready. And make your way to a seated pose. And once you arrive in your seated pose, move from your third eye, the center of intuition and wisdom, to the heart center, both spiritual and physical. And thank yourself for being in a practice. The practice of breathing and being, the practice of expansion, the practice of listening and learning and awareness. And I thank you for sharing. Namaste.